I spoke with neighbors a while ago who said this fire started very suddenly. Right about where I'm standing, there's still debris around, including a piece of this taillight. When that first wave of evictions happens on May 31st, at least 100 people in Washington County will be losing their housing. Once the D2 is on the stone, they spend some time scrubbing the lichen off. Right behind this truck, people from Beta Technologies are taking apart the aircraft. Now, what are some of your priorities coming up in your next term?
My number one priority is dealing with the economic crisis.
In the next 2 to 3 years, passengers making their way to places like Montreal, Boston, or even Old Orchard Beach might be making stops here. There's food, there's some music, and even for their kids over here, they have a bounce house to go to. They say BIPOC individuals are statistically more likely to face barriers to care. Business owners in the complex have been taking extra precautions like buying security cameras or boarding up the doors. And as he drove out of sight, I heard him exclaim,
"Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night."
In Burlington, Rachel Mann, Channel 3 News.
And then seeing the flames, just enormous billowing flames.
6 crews battling a massive fire at the Charlotte Town Garage Wednesday night. Louisa Shibley lives nearby. She had to walk through the scene to get home.
As we were about to pull up onto Churchill Road, my kids called and they said, "You're not going to be able to get home," which, just as I'm hearing it, I'm driving up and I'm seeing just all sorts of fire engines.
Shibley says there were several explosions. Charlotte Fire Chief Dick St. George says those came from a combination of tires and fuel tanks.
We arrived in less than 4 minutes. The first line was deployed and in action, but it was so far ahead of us, and there's such a fuel load, there was nothing we could do.
Lost in the fire? All of the town's road equipment, including the plows. The fire department was able to save one sitting outside, but Select Board Chair James Faulkner says it's older and wouldn't be enough for the town's 60 miles of road.
The immediate plan is simply that we're going to contact all the local towns and see what they have for equipment and see what we can do to borrow some.
Faulkner is already talking with Charlotte's road commissioner about a plan which includes building a new garage. The cost of what was lost in the fire is still unknown, but everyone is glad to say no one was hurt.
The firemen were amazing. I mean, they contained it because their house is really nearby. There's one right across the street, one actually right behind it. So they did a great job.
The chief says the cause of the fire is unknown, but it doesn't appear to be suspicious. In Charlotte, Rachel Mann, Channel 3 News. Most North Country voters clearly like Representative Elise Stefanik. Her campaign talked a lot about ousting top Democrats like Nancy Pelosi and protecting parents' rights. She also spent a lot of time campaigning on behalf of other Republicans who in return did the same for her. I spoke with SUNY Plattsburgh political science professor Harvey Shantz about how this may have helped her win the race.
We made history. Thank you to the hardworking families in New York's 21st Congressional District.
It's a very good party strategy when members of the same party campaign for each other. So in many ways, the various offices that were up for election interlock.
Throughout her campaign, Rep. Elise Stefanik promoted other New York Republicans, including State Senator Dan Steck, who also won his race on Tuesday. Stefanik's hope was to bring a red wave to New York.
We have a lot of work at hand as we've earned back the majority. Our commitment to America is a lot of work on a lot of really important issues.
We're going to keep working on the stuff that I campaigned on. I want to see us more competitive economically. I think we need to address the crime issue in the state. I'm going to continue to fight for our Second Amendment right.
Stefanik's opponent, Matt Castelli, says her extremism is what pushed him to run. He lost by an 18-point margin.
I celebrate what we just participated in, a free and fair election.
Now Stefanik enters her 5th term with big promises.
We have to unleash American energy independence to lower the price of gas, to lower the price of home heating, and then we need to stand up for our constitutional liberties, standing up for our Second Amendment rights, which are so important not only in this country, but specifically in this district.
But how easy will it be for her to carry out those promises? While it's likely Republicans will control the House, legislation passed there will still need to make it through the Senate and the White House.
There is no doubt that when you have divided party government, there is some gridlock in Washington, D.C. Major pieces of legislation will not go through very easily.
At her victory party, Stefanik was also asked if she had any plans to make a bigger run in 2024. She said at this time she has no intentions of making any major announcements and is just focused on the GOP House Chair vote happening next week. In Crown Point, Rachel Mann, Channel 3 News.
We're seeing a population that is rapidly aging and rapidly getting sicker.
Department of Corrections Commissioner Nick Demmel says the number of people entering Vermont's prisons with pre-existing conditions is going up.
We have 1,000 individuals out of 1,300 total who have chronic illnesses. That's a 46% increase in the last 5 years.
But inmates and their loved ones think there might be more to the issue.
It's scary as well.
Jack White says he was in a neighboring cell to David Mitchell the day he passed away. Mitchell is the 7th person to die while incarcerated at Southern State Correctional since the start of the year.
He kept complaining audibly, like really desperately complaining that he could breathe. It was disturbing. It was, tragic. He was, despite being in prison, he was a decent guy.
Preston Lawson also lived in the same unit as Mitchell and says he witnessed something similar.
I left the hospital with 7 liters of oxygen down to 2. He said they're trying to kill me. He was crying, begging for his life.
Mitchell was seen by nurses throughout the day, though White and Lawson didn't feel they took his complaint seriously. Several inmates we spoke with say Mitchell was also in the process of being taken off buprenorphine, often used to treat opioid addiction.
He begged for his life, though, for about 20 minutes, and all he did was get threatened to get put in segregation. They threatened to put him in segregation. They let him die. They know that they let him die.
Somebody who's in serious distress, it takes a long time, and if it's dealt with at all.
Demmel says they can't release much information as the investigation into Mitchell's death is ongoing, but that there was no apparent misconduct by corrections staff.
Mr. Mitchell did receive medical care multiple times the morning that he passed away. And our staff are trained in communication techniques and de-escalation tactics so that when individuals do get agitated, we have tools.
But the issue seems to go beyond Mitchell. Janet, whose partner was incarcerated at Southern but has since been transferred, says he's also struggled receiving health care in prison.
Any kind of ailments or anything, you put in a sick slip, and then they get back to you when they get back to you.
As a result, her partner has suffered from several serious infections, many being the result of MRSA. She's part of Vermont Just Justice's group planning a rally at the State House next week with hope lawmakers will take the issue more seriously.
Puts a lot of pressure on everybody, the incarcerated individuals. They're scared. They have no control. They have nobody to speak for them.
I reached out to both of Springfield's representatives Friday afternoon. They were either unavailable or did not respond to our request for comment.
But with the medical side of things, they have to take a deeper look. They have to listen to incarcerated individuals.
There's also an ongoing investigation into alleged misconduct by Southern Superintendent Mike Lyon, though correction officials say it is not related to the deaths. We will keep you updated on the ongoing death investigations and alleged misconduct by the superintendent. However, Department of Correction officials say that could take several months. In Springfield, Rachel Mann, Channel 3 News.